Hello, Barb.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Really good. Really good. Here we are. It's episode 81.
I know, can you believe it? And here I'm in my little home studio. You're in your little home studio, and we're connecting together.
Yes.
Love it. Did you have a good summer?
I had a great summer. Wow. So many things.
Yeah, it went by so fast too, didn't it?
hmm Yeah. It was great. We had a great summer full of travels and trips. And when we were thinking about putting the podcast together for you all for September, we thought, why don't we just kind of go through all the places that we've been and the people that we've seen and the classes that we've attended, things like that, and put together a little montage of all those places. And
Yeah.
we had promised to give out a prize earlier this season as well, and so we did it in this one. So we want you to continue watching after our little intro here, so that you can find out about the prize and who the prize
Yeah.
winner is.
And then you may have, missed out on one of the episodes that we ran over the summer. Don't worry. Cynthia's got this little collage. And so you can see all the different stores and places that we filmed for you to look at and go back and pick one later if you missed out on it.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end, we put in a clip from our Fiberside Summer Crawl presentation. And that,
It's fun.
it wasn't a podcast, it wasn't a video that we put out. So we've put a little clip in there for you so you can see what we talked about there.
Mhm.
Mhm. Okay, perfect.
Great. Okay, well, let's jump into it. Let's get going.
All right, sounds good. We did a lot of cool things over the summer, really. We went to all kinds of places, and we closed the shop in April, and then we decided, for May and June and July and August, let's feature some of the local yarn shops that are in our area. Let's go and talk to some of the people that we love to talk to. Let's go traveling because we've always been kind of, chained to the store a little bit. So,
Those 3 years of COVID, they did it for me, I tell you.
yeah, yeah.
It's time
So
to get out and go places.
We went to Montreal, right?
Mhm.
Then we
Yep.
went to Calgary, we went
Yeah.
to Innisfail, we went to Olds, we went to different places around Edmonton. You traveled outside of the city as well. You went on some personal holidays, which is really nice.
Yes. Yes, I got to spend time with my husband. It was great, and we went and visited his family in Vancouver. It was lovely. And, I spent so much time with the kids. Every Friday, we had a little maker's day, and we did things from, models to sewing to knitting. I taught Ray how to knit this summer. It was great.
Oh, that's lovely. So, did you finish anything?
Hmm, you know, I did. I did a little, well, I did quite a bit of machine knitting too. I did a lot of swatching this summer in anticipation for a series of classes that I have coming up. But I just got this off the needles, off my
Ooh,
machine needles.
tell
So,
us about
it-
tell us about this. This looks
yeah,
beautiful.
this is beautiful. I can hardly wait to wear this. I'm going to wear this at Knit City. So this is kind of my autumn piece. It's an easy folded poncho. I've just got it on the mannequin this way. Usually I wear this seam here on the shoulder, but I just put it on this way. And what it is a special pattern. My new standard gauge machine has punch cards. And so this is a punch card number 2. And it creates these little checker cube kind of pattern. And so I experimented with this with a whole bunch of Caroline Sommerfeld's Lascaux Fine. That's her um, Manx Lawton Merino blend. And I had picked some up when we went to see her. And I love this, Cynthia. It's so warm. It's got such a nice weight to it. I think it's going to be the perfect fall kind of cover up to wear.
Nice. Really
Yeah.
nice.
So I did this on my machine and just put a little I-cord trim all the way around it afterwards. And I did this by hand. I tried to do it on the machine, but I liked the hand one better. I felt that it just looked better. And so I love combining the two worlds, this machine and hand knitting. And that was my project.
Oh, that's lovely, Barb. That's really nice.
Yeah.
I
What
did
about
not,
you?
I didn't really finish anything that I finished some things, but they were things that I had already, started, and so I
Yeah.
finished them off.
Didn't you finish a sweater?
I did finish a sweater, and
Yeah.
yeah, I will post. I've got it posted up on Ravelry, so I've got pictures there, so folks can see it. That was from the Ann Budd right top down raglan sweater class, and
Mhm.
currently I'm working on a skirt. I haven't cast on just yet, but there is a skirt class underway, and I'm doing that. I maybe can show you a sneak peek of something that I finished but um, haven't finished yet. I'm going to do some adjustments. Know what you think about this? This is a steeked tea cozy that I'm
Wow.
doing for a class that we're going to be teaching for Rowan a little bit later this year, and I'm going to redesign it so it has a bigger neck. Right now, it's got a turtleneck, and that gets in the way of the top of the teapot.
Oh,
So I'm going to redo it and make it just a little bit shorter,
yeah.
the top, a little bit rounder. But this is a project that you knit in the round and then you cut it up the middle and it's steeked. And I put in steeked armholes too because when you take a steeking class and you only get to make one cut, I mean, why not make three if you can make it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and does her sweater actually have arms that are steeked in?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, so Barb and I are so let's go into that. Barb and
Yeah,
I
let's talk about it.
so we were talking to Rowan a little bit earlier
And
this year.
Lisa too, right? She was on the call as well. Like
Yeah.
we had an opportunity to see all of the new garments that are coming out for this fall. And Cynthia's going to teach this one, and this is one of Lisa's brand new garments that's coming out in the new Rowan magazine. It's so
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, it's called Himalayas, and it's a top-down yoke sweater class. So you can knit this garment entirely in one piece, and when you work from the top down, you put some stitches on hold for each of the armholes,
Okay.
and you continue down the front. So in Lisa's design, she's very cleverly made it so that you can either wear it as a pullover, no steeking required, or you can knit it as a cardigan in which you will knit some steek lines right up the top, right up the center, and then
Yeah.
afterwards you'll go and cut them and put in a button band. And
Yes.
so you don't need to steek the armholes in a top-down yoke sweater class. But I thought for teaching purposes, it would be kind of nice to be able to steek more than one thing. And if you wanted to create a sweater down the road which had set-in sleeves, then you would need to steek in the armholes, and it requires you to bind off and cast on for the steek line. So I built that into the class, and that way you get to cut more. And
Well,
yeah,
Cynthia, I think that's brilliant because Rowan confessed that a lot of times their customers do not even do steeking. This is not a thing that they do, and in fact, Rowan doesn't do a lot of top down in the round knit sweaters, right? Their whole thing is pieces and construction.
yeah.
So I think it's brilliant that they've asked you to teach this class and
Thank
that
you.
you've come up with a project where you can steek more than once and get lots of practice and turn it into the ultimate British home decor piece.
Well, if you
That's
don't want to put it on your teapot, it would fit like a teddy bear or something like that. But I just, sometimes feel like when we're doing classes, it's nice to come away with something. It could be a swatch. It doesn't have to be anything. It could just be a practice piece, but doesn't use too much yarn and and you get something out of the end of it, that sort of sets you up for success if you decide to do this sweater by Lisa
Yeah.
Richardson.
Well, and
Because
let's face it, you're putting a lot of time into this piece too. I mean, you must have spent at least 4 or 5 hours knitting it, and who knows how much time designing that little piece and thinking about, where am I going to put this and where will I put that stick, and so, and then picking up the stitches for the armband too. They're going to learn that as well, right?
yeah, yeah, and so you'll learn always in classes that we teach or classes that we host. I think the outcome is that you always learn more than you think you're going to learn, because in order to be able to pick up stitches along the edge, now you need to know what is the ratio of picking up. What's the ratio of stitches
Rows,
to
stitches.
rows? Yeah, exactly. Now you're teaching a class for Rowan in November too. Tell us about that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wanted to give them something that I think came from our shop, or a little bit of a Canadiana slant to it. So we have this great pattern on how to make thrummed mittens and thrummed hats. And so in my class for Rowan, I'm going to teach how to do the thrummish method, which is the new thrumming method that Kate Atherley sort of invented. And it's a little bit easier than making all of those woolen thrums. You're using a big chunky yarn, and we're going to use big wool and 2 strands of Rowan pure wool to knit our mitten with. So it's going to go really fast, and it's a fun way to make something really warm. We're going to do the hat. I've managed to figure out what it would take to do a small hat for a child or a baby. And that's the one we're going to do, because we can do it hopefully in a 2-hour class.
Yes. And what yarns are you using for that, Barb?
We're going to use Rowan big wool for the thrums, and we're using Rowan pure wool worsted held double for the hat.
Oh, it's gonna be so warm and cozy.
Super
And
cozy.
I think in your sample you had enough Rowan big wool left over to make a nice little pom-pom.
Yeah, oh yes. And even enough to tie up all my tomato plants with this summer.
Excellent, excellent. And then I'm going to teach a class on simultaneous socks. That's 2 socks at the same time. You can use one long circular and do it magic loop, or you can use 2 circulars and have half your stitches on each circular. And we're going to be using Rowan pure wool, single-stranded, just so you have a nice fat little sock to
Oh,
work out all the, challenges that there are of keeping track of 2 socks at the same time. Yeah.
well, I'd love to sit in on that class with you, because I think I've only had that class maybe 4 or 5 times, but I still am too scared to knit 2 socks simultaneously.
Definitely, you're invited. In fact, I think you're my assistant.
Good. Well, I'll need it.
And then Rowan let us know that they were coming up with another session in October that's going to be focused on their Rowan sock yarn. And
Right.
they asked us if we'd like to teach a class on lace knitting.
I know.
And
And this is where I got a little excited, because I loved their pattern. They have the cutest sort of cap hat beret, sort of, with these big leaves that are all around the circumference of the hat. And they've got a beautiful lace detail. So I'm really excited to teach that class with you and help people understand a little bit about making making a lace pattern.
yeah, exactly. And kind of exciting too is that it'll be like half knit along, half class. So
Mhm.
you'll be working on the hat along with us, and the lace in it is suitable for a beginner. So if you've never knit lace before and you'd like to learn how, if you've never read a chart in the round before,
Mm. Yeah.
and you'd like to get better at that, there's going to be some great options. We're going to teach you all kinds of tips and tricks for working lace without, stressing about it. It's
Mhm.
And like Barb, like you say, it's a really pretty pattern done in Rowan sock yarn. So you'll also have some gradation of color as you work your way up the hat, and that's going to be really pretty too.
Those are the colors that we have. We have some of the gradients. I think Rowan has now come out with a solid palette though.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go through and see if I have any of that and see if I can use that.
That sounds great. So we're teaching this fall. Oh, I did want to say though, go back to finished objects. We should talk about works in progress. And so you were very tempted to cast on Delphine, which is
Yes,
a hat by Martin Story. That is the lace hat. Did you
right.
cast on yet?
No, not yet. I did laundry last night instead of casting on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have a half finished swatch that is a work in progress. This is this is my
Ooh.
swatch right here. This is my swatch for my Ann Budd sweater.
Oh, you're
And
knitting it in the round?
well, this is my thing about swatches. The sweater's knit in the round, so the swatch needs to be knit in the round. And while you can do giant I-cord, I just feel like, then I got a swatch with all those, cut edges on it. And so why don't I just knit a newborn hat? So that's what I did.
Yes.
I made a newborn hat and then I put it on a holder and I knit the sweater. And then just recently I found the hat and I thought, oh, I better finish that. So I'm knitting the other end of the hat and then I'm going to turn it into one of those
Yeah,
double hats, and I will take it over to basically babies, or there's a craft roundup coming up soon. And so I'm just,
that's so cute. What yarn did you use? Everyone's
oh,
gonna wanna know.
this is our favorite yarn, Barb. Well, I mean, we have lots of favorites, but this is
Mhm.
one of our tops. This is a handmaiden Casbah. This is leftovers from the Ann Budd longest day knit along that we did earlier this year. And so I'm just using up the remains of the ball.
Right, so that would be, the Casbah, which is the heavy fingering weight.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
I love it. It's such a beautiful soft yarn. It's machine washable. And I think there's some newborn baby at either basically babies or what do they call it? The NICU, ward in the
Mhm.
hospital here. There's some baby that deserves just that little tiny bit of cashmere in their hat, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
So
great
that's
and great project too. You can just double layer it, shove one end into the other and yeah,
right.
and you've got your swatch and you have your hat.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. If you need to do a swatch in the round, and if you have enough yarn, it might be an
Mhm.
option for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just use my hat for Rachel pattern, and which starts at the top, and you make it wide enough, and then,
Yes.
like I said, you can just put it on a holder, and you can finish it later when you might have more leftovers, right?
Mhm. That's a great hat pattern, and you're right, I just remembered you can use almost any gauge of yarn with that hat pattern too, right?
You can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it works for a lot of things, but it's just an option, right? You might not have enough yarn, or you might be worried that you don't have enough yarn, but it is important to do a swatch before you start on a project. Speaking of which, though, I'm really excited, Barb, because we have some classes coming up that we weren't able to talk about earlier because we didn't have them arranged. I've
Mm.
got three classes and three new classes coming up with Lucy Neatby. The first of which is called Phoenix Rising from the Ashes. Can you guess what that's about?
Mhm. Well, no, you have to tell me.
This is about salvaging. You've got a project, you're not sure. Sorry, my an alarm just went off. I'm gonna ignore it. You got a project and something goes wrong and you don't know why. And you gotta try and fix it or salvage it or something. And
Oh,
so
okay.
so Lucy Neepy is going to show you tips for kind of analyzing your project before you start it, ways to salvage things that have gone wrong, which include, the regular set of skills like laddering down and laddering back up again. But what do
Yeah.
you do if it's an edge stitch? Can
Right.
you ladder that down? So she's going to answer all kinds of questions and give you tips and tricks for, you know, not throwing it against the wall, or maybe after you picked it up from throwing it against the wall, what can you do to salvage this project? So Phoenix Rising from the Ashes is a class that everyone should come to. Lucy Neatby is a designer from the East Coast. She lives in Nova Scotia on the Big Tan Cook Island, and she's a fantastic instructor.
I'm
We've got
so glad she's zooming in. Is she going to be at home on Tan Cook when she zooms in?
She is, and so you'll get to see the inside of her house, which is a work of art. There's
Yes.
always a quilt or rug hooking or painting on the wall. She's just such a colorful but again, it's the way that she explains things. She just makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got her coming back for another class called Tips and Tricks for Modular Knits. Okay, I'm a little crazy about modular knits. I love it.
Also
And
double knitting,
sorry,
also known as double knitting?
no, modular
No.
knits, like the MVP hat that she designed for us?
Okay.
Join as you go, right?
Right. So more like miters and joins and things like that.
Yes. And so she's going to talk to us about, some tips and tricks for working modular knits. And one of the advantages of doing modular knits is that you don't have to swatch
Or
because
seam.
or seam because you're building it as you go. So you can start with a little piece and then you can join on another little piece. And for the MVP hat that she designed for us, she had you join, your little pieces together until it fits around your head. And then you work on the second row. And
Yeah.
so you've kind of you're building it as you go. It's like Lego. You don't
I
have
did a vest once, Cynthia, out of Noro yarn, following Lucy's pattern. And it was modular, sort of diamonds,
to.
and you piece them all together and it made a vest. It was very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And then we've got a third class coming up with Lucy, and this one is the magic buttonhole and double bands.
Ooh,
This is, and you can hear my voice go a little quiet because I'm in
yeah.
awe of this. This is a class in which Lucy's going to show you how to make the neatest, tidiest, most beautiful buttonhole band in the world. It's double-sided, so you don't have a wrong side or a right side. I think it's just magic. So I asked Lucy if she would come and teach this class for us as well. They're
Mm.
all 2-hour classes. They're all recorded, and you're going to learn a ton of information and technique.
Good. And these are new too. I think the last time we had Lucy, she taught double knitting,
Mhm.
right? So these are something brand new. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of fun. So
Mhm.
Lucy Neatby fans and soon to be Lucy Neatby fans, come and see Lucy Neatby at Yarniversity. Another reprise, we're doing another reprise, another great instructor is Fiona Ellis. She's going to be with us this fall as well. We're still working out some details on a couple of her classes, but she's going to be teaching a class on embroidery for embellishment. So and I've been going through all my sweaters, Barb, and finding anything that's plain and putting it to one side because I'm going to do some embellishment on my sweaters based on this class.
Oh,
We're
your
also going to bring Fiona back to do her Knitting as Mindfulness series. This is a great series, 3 classes in which Lucy or Fiona focuses on a different aspect of knitting and gives you some insights, some tips and techniques to do that, but also has you she implements a bit of her yoga practice into it. It's just really cool. You've been in these classes before, Barb. What do you think about them?
Well, Fiona is a yoga instructor, And so she's taken some of the zenfulness of yoga and applied it to knitting. So it's great. And even, things that are very ergonomic, like how you're sitting in the positions and things like that, I'm sure she's going to touch on. And I think she just got her certification, right? It's not like, karate and black belts and stuff like that, but it kind of is. I think she got a special type of certification to teach yoga.
She did, yeah, yeah. And she's always been one of the most interesting people that we've had the pleasure to work with. So she will be coming back and doing a
Good.
class that she's kind of famous for, and that's called Twisting with the Cable Girl, because Fiona loves to put cables in her designs.
Mhm.
And it was just I was just thinking as I was thinking about Lucy and about Fiona, Barb, I was thinking about Wool, Wine and Wheels, you know, the trip that we used to take. That's kind of how we got to know Lucy and Fiona so well. I mean, they weren't the only instructors that we took on the train trip. There were others. But,
Yeah.
yeah, people were really, really excited about that.
Well, anytime you have a retreat, no matter where it is, and this is one that Cynthia, that you and I did for I think 7 or 8 years. We got a group of our friends together and we went up to Jasper Park Lodge, which is one of the most beautiful places I think in the world. It's just so calm and relaxing, and you're out in nature around a big lake in a rustic Canadiana hotel. I mean, you couldn't be much better than that. And then when you have a personality like Lucy or Fiona or whoever it may be, you're absorbed in knitting for several days. Well, it's just heavenly.
It's like the best of all worlds, isn't
It
it?
is.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
And we've been asked and asked and asked if we were going to bring this trip back from our customers who remember going. There's one, remember Jan? She was on every single trip that we had. And I think Jeannie from Washington, she asked us about it too. So one of the things that I was so passionate about after we closed the shop was the opportunity to look at perhaps bringing this trip back.
Ooh, and what are you thinking, Barb? Is there
Well,
a possibility?
it's a very real possibility. So stay tuned. We don't have the details yet, but know that we're working on Wool, Wine and Wheels 2024. We even
20
have a date,
2024? Okay.
2024. We have a date. It's going to be in April in 2024. And I'm so excited about it because I've been to Jasper in April and it's beautiful. Hopefully the snow will be gone. The trees will be starting to bud out. There's all sorts of wildlife that you can see and things to do. So stay tuned. We have to, of course, sharpen our pencils and figure out if we've got, the how much this is going to cost and all those details and who's going to teach at it. But Cynthia, that's kind of your area of expertise, and I'm hoping that you can get us someone really, really, really special.
Oh, Barb, we're working on somebody really, 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 really special. So
Oh, well, we can't tell you that part yet, but stay tuned. I mean, I don't think we've ever disappointed yet. I haven't, of course, who's going to tell you you did a crappy job, right?
do you remember the year, the second, I think it was the second year that we had Nikki Epstein come, and she was in Chicago teaching at Vogue Knitting Live, and was it Hurricane Sandy
I
hit?
think so, yes.
And so she was unable to go home to pick up her luggage, her husband, and her passport to come to Canada for our train trip. And
Mhm.
in those days, we were leaving by train as well. These days, we might just be coming home by train, but if you didn't get on the train at the
But there's
exact
going to be a train. One of the wheels is on the train, the other is on a coach.
Yes. But in those days, if you didn't get on the train at the right time, it was like a cruise. Like, so we were making all kinds of backup plans because she couldn't get across the border. She was stuck in Chicago. And so we said, okay, so we'll all get on the train and, we'll entertain the customers. And then when Nikki arrives in Edmonton, my husband will drive her up to Jasper and we'll, get her, into the classes and stuff. And then we said, Nikki, maybe you could get an emergency passport in Chicago. And then maybe your husband could bring your luggage and all your samples over the border when you can. Anyway, it worked out in the end, and Nikki was able to get on the train with us. But there were a few moments there when we were like, biting our fingernails,
Yes.
trying
This is
to.
what events are like, right? I can only imagine, our friends Fiona and Amanda who do knit cities.
Mhm.
There's just always something that seems to happen. And that's kind of looking back on it, some of the fun and the excitement that goes with hosting an event.
Absolutely. And speaking of Knit City, there's just a couple of things. So we wanted to let you know that coming up after this little intro, we've got a montage of events and people and places that we went to this summer. They're just like 5-minute clips of all
Mhm.
the different things that we did this summer. And one of those clips has Fiona and Amanda in it. And bless their hearts. They spent some time talking with us, so we could do a little presentation from Knit City Montreal, but they do look tired, you know?
And they're going to be even more tired because did you hear they're opening up a fourth city now? They're going to be doing Calgary, Alberta in 2024
Hmm.
in August. So now the West Coast will be Vancouver one year, Calgary the next, and Montreal and Toronto. So this is so great. You can get a chance to go to 4 places in Canada, plus now in April with Edmonton. We want to invite you to our city, and we hope that you will come and spend some time with Cynthia and I.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
We're just going to say, so the clips that you've pulled together are all the places that we went to this summer, and we thought it would be fun for you to watch in case you missed one of them, because we did so much, and then we also had all the Fiberside chats that we went to this summer, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
at the end of our little montage, I've taken about, I'm going to say 10 minutes out of our 15-minute presentation from the Fiberside Summer Crawl.
Oh,
And
good.
in that you'll get to hear about all the classes that are coming up in the fall. We talked about the instructors and we talked about we showed some of the samples from the things that we're doing. So we won't load that up here. We'll let you watch it down there.
Yeah.
And then in putting that together as well, and knowing that it was kind of on my list of things to do, in an earlier episode, we had promised to give away a gift that we got from Julie Asselin in Montreal. And that was this lovely beam paint kit that Julie and the Beam Paints people put together. It's really lovely. So I've included a little clip of that presentation of the beam paint kit. And then in that clip, you'll find the name of the winner. So that's just a little enticement to have you continue to watch after we say goodbye in the intro. Yeah, so
Great. Super. Okay, so stay tuned. You, you never know whose name will be there. You'll have to give us an email or send an email to you, and we'll get this beautiful little kit shipped off to you.
yes, exactly. And so we want to let you know that in our next podcast, we'll be coming to you from Knit City, Vancouver. Barb and I are heading off in a couple of weeks to go to Knit City, Vancouver. If you are planning to be there, let us know. And because we'd love to, meet up with you or say hello or give you a little token of appreciation when we bump into you in the marketplace. We're going to take a couple of classes. And Barb, you're taking a class with Cecilia Campuchero. Did I say that right?
Yes, Cecilia Campuchero, for sure. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah.
I've had one class with her via Zoom, but this one's going to be in person. And who are you taking again?
Well, I'm going to do a steeking class with the master of steeking, Gudrun Johnson. I'm teaching a steeking class. I mean, I know how to steek, but you should always take classes, even in areas that that you might know or that you've done before, because everybody does it a little bit differently. And and I'm just looking forward to meeting her for the first time. I think she would be. I just heard lovely things about her, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Excellent. Well, when we're not in class, we're going to be in the marketplace. So do come by and see us, and we will say hello to you. We'd love to get pictures taken with you. And
yeah. And when we're not in the marketplace, Barb, we might be, I don't know, like testing out the gelato at Nigel Pottle's favorite gelato place, or maybe having a cup of coffee with Holly Yo, both of whom are designers that that live in Vancouver. So, I mean, we have to spend a bit of time with them, right?
Yes, for sure. Sounds good.
Perfect. So yeah, our next podcast will come to you from Vancouver, and so we'd like you to maybe refresh your cup of tea, fill up your cup of coffee, grab a drink, pick up your knitting, and join us for a little review, very short snippets of all the places that we went to this summer. Well, maybe not all the places that we went to, but most of them. And sit back and enjoy the clips and listen for your name. And please leave us a comment when you're done. We love to read the comments. We have put links to the full episodes of everything. So if you saw a clip that kind of piqued your interest, just check the show notes down below. And we've got links to everything there, so you can watch the full episode. But leave us a comment. Tell us how you're doing. How did your summer go? And let us know that you're here. You're part of our community. We really, really appreciate that and love to hear from you.
Yeah. And if you enjoy these podcasts and you'd like to continue to see them, leave us a note on that too. Subscribe to our channel and come back and visit us every month.
All right. We'll see you soon. Hello, everybody. It's episode 77 of Podcast On with Barb and Cynthia. We're on our way today to visit Joanne at Joanne's Yarn Garden in Stony Plain, Alberta. As you can see, it's a beautiful day, and we're looking forward to seeing this town with its painted history.
All right, here we are at Joe's Yarn Garden.
I'm so excited, Barb. We've been wanting to come out here for so long, Joe, and we just couldn't because we were always in our shop.
Exactly, I know that feeling.
Right? Yeah. So here we are, and Joe's going to show us around her store. Thank you. Thank you. I have to say, too, Barb, I couldn't take my eyes off Joe's scarf. Isn't that amazing?
I know. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah, and that looks like it's hand woven.
It is hand woven. The technique is palindrome.
Ooh.
So you actually, I'm just going to...
So it's the same on both ends?
So you pull on purpose coming across.
Oh.
So it's a wool-mise sock yarn. And when I warped it exactly double the length, maybe it was triple, I don't remember now, of the skein. So that as you're going back and forth, your purples line up and your blues line up and the yellows line up. And then I just warped it. Yeah, exactly. So you get that sort of faded in look.
I think you're going to show us some of your socks. So I'm going to go grab the camera, and we'll put a different spotlight on on this. Okay.
This is I call that a sock snake. Because when they come off the machine, you're always using scrap yarn in between your socks. So I like to do one after another, after another, after another, you know.
Wow.
And just make lots of socks.
Yeah. So what have you done here? So this is a...
So basically, this is a men's sock. I'm doing the men's now. Fairly large size.
And so is that the toe?
This will be the toe.
Oh.
So you do the short row heel.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you come down to the toe. You do a short row toe exactly like you did the heel. And when you get back up to the top, you put the scrap yarn on. So you can kind of see the toe right there.
Yeah.
With your scrap yarn, you have this ladder in here, and this is what you're going to use to graft. So you're basically doing a Kitchener, but instead of the stitches being on the needles at an angle, you've got the stitches stuck in with your scrap yarn here.
Yes.
So then this one's grafted.
Oh.
So I do it from the right side.
Okay.
And do you do it with a needle? Tapestry needle?
Yes, just a tapestry needle.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so
Look
you
at
ready?
this.
This is the best part.
So you're taking off.
So I'm taking off the scrap yarn.
Waste yarn.
Yeah.
Did you have to take a class?
I didn't, but you know what? It was a huge learning curve.
Was it?
Yes,
Yeah,
I made lots of bad socks before I actually started making wearable ones. Okay, so there's my last scrap yarn. Now I'm hoping I didn't miss any stitches.
But you'll find out, won't you?
You will find out. And there you go.
Wow, look at that. We
So
did the
it's
finger
seamless.
test. Wow.
Yep. And if you put your hand inside, there should be no bump.
Those look like nice socks.
That's amazing, Joanne.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pair number 107.
Sorry, you said you've made how many pairs of socks?
So 107. I just started my 107th.
Right. I think Stony Plain is a really walkable place to come to. Right along Main Street, there's all these boutique stores, and again, you know, these stunning murals. We'll show you some of the pictures and videos we took that catch your eye, maybe cause accidents, I'm not sure. And each one comes with a little plaque that tells a story about it. And you looked it up, Barb. There are how many of them?
Either 43 or 48.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then apparently next weekend there's something called Jane's Walk. Have you heard about that?
No.
It's sort of people take people on walks and point out different historical facts about certain buildings and things.
Nice. All right, we'll come back to you again next month from another undisclosed location. Stay tuned.
There we go. Cynthia, I'm here with Anna Hunter. Can you hear me okay?
I think I can.
It's really loud in here.
Oh, hi.
Hello. Good. How are you?
Don't tell me what we're doing.
Okay.
What are you doing?
You like a surprise better?
What?
Perfect. So we're here at Cabin Boy Knits. We're with Christopher and Julie. Share with us a little bit about what you're doing here.
We are vending. We're here as vendors. I'll cover the vendor piece, and you can cover the piece last night.
Cynthia, look, we have Lucinda. Lucinda, we wanted to come and see you, and we're so happy to see that you're here with
Thank
Julie.
you. Thank you. I'm here as the booth babe, and I'm promoting all of Julie's yarns, which you know we love.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, we are here with Julie from Julie Asselin. Hey, Barb. Hi. Julie, we're so happy to be here. Cynthia and my first opportunity to be in Montreal.
Yes.
We just closed our shop a few months ago, and we're so happy that now we can travel and have the time to meet up with you.
And we are happy to have you in Montreal. That's
Yes.
great that we get to see each other here.
Yes. We're here with Amanda and Fiona, who are the organizers of Knit City Montreal. Thank you so much, you guys, for letting us film you. I know you've had a busy, busy day, weekend, probably week and weeks putting this all together. What's it like putting together a huge event like this? And I know you've been doing it for a few years, but if you could just give us a little bit of insight into that. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Fiona?
Yeah, it's a process that takes, I don't know, the better part
years.
of a year. Yeah. But we have a pretty down pat at this point. We've been doing it for a while. Last year was more difficult than this year because it was our first in Montreal, and it was just, we didn't know exactly how everything was going to flow. It was hard to sort of predict and imagine ourselves there and how everything was going to look. But now that we finished that first year, our second year has been much smoother. Yeah.
I imagine there's many key learnings, language being one of them, right? I mean, you're from the West Coast. You're both from the West Coast.
Yeah.
So are we.
Born and raised there.
And to come to Montreal, it was certainly kind of an adventure for us.
Yeah.
And I imagine for you too.
We have a really great group of volunteers, though, that are based here. They understand the culture, they understand the language, right? They've been a huge, huge asset for us.
Yes.
It was really important for us when planning this show to get it right in terms of language. We wanted to make sure we respected people of Quebec and their culture, and people of Montreal, and, you know, be French forward, even though we're not bilingual. Many of our volunteers are, like Amanda said, and they've really helped us sort of figure that piece out. And it's been the biggest help. Yeah. Just like to give an extra thank you to our amazing team of volunteers, both in Vancouver and in Montreal. We couldn't run the show without them. They're incredibly special people, and just want to say a huge thank you to them. And thank you to everyone for coming to our shows and supporting us. And
And this is the one Julie gave us as a gift to give away in the podcast. This is so cool. Inside this bag is a number of cards with just the faintest outline of a picture on it. Can you see the strawberries here? It's really faint. So these are strawberries. There's a sunflower.
Right.
And so these are drawn very lightly on these cardboard pictures. So you can paint them. And there are these beam paints. So this little palette of paints, they're watercolors. They're done with natural inks or natural pigments. So it's all really natural. Here's the name of the person who is the illustrator, Catherine Pelletier. And this is a little bit about the indigenous plastic-free watercolors and what each of the colors are made with. You get a paintbrush, and Julie has included a little bit of yarn. In every kit is different. You get a little bit of yarn and a sewing needle, so you can embellish on your card stock. And this is also, this card that it's on is also a recipe. So what a lovely little kit of ingredients, all in a nice little drawstring bag. We picked a winner, and Janice Kobis, you are it. Contact us at info@yarniversity.ca to claim your prize.
Hi, welcome to Ancient Arts.
Cynthia, look, here we are. We're in Ancient Arts, brand new store in Calgary, Alberta. What's your address?
607 Manitou
Manitou
Road.
And it's in this beautiful part of Calgary. It's surrounded by lush green trees. They've got the most beautiful front entrance with these curtains. And it's just, well, it must be a dream to work here, Heather. What's the
It
scoop?
is. It's pretty nice to be here in this space, to have all the extra space here. We didn't have a storefront before, so it's been really nice to have that and then get to see people.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we were only ever doing trade shows, and then we would go to like Knit City, or we go to Gathering Threads, or the staff beforehand would go to like TNNA, and so they had these limited opportunities to meet with our customers, and now we get a lot more FaceTime, which is so awesome.
So nice. Yeah. All right. And so you're going to take us around the store today.
I am, yeah.
And then we're going to come back and we're going to chat with Carolyn and Dan.
All right. Well, let's start on the heavy aisle.
Okay.
We'll start with, we can go down here. We just got this new yarn in, the Fioratura. Have you felt it?
This is the new one. No.
Yeah, this is the new one. So it's extra fine merino, cashmere, and silk. So it doesn't get much more luxurious than this. I'm going to pass it to Cynthia or Barb so she can hold it.
Okay, yes.
It's like butter.
And this is one of the nicest colors too. I love this French Bordeaux.
So next up is our Revival Worsted. Revival Worsted is a mohair wool, and there's a bit of acrylic and alpaca and silk. This is a recycled yarn, and it's exclusive to us. No one else has it. Caroline worked with the mills to design it. And this comes with quite an array of color. Anything that we do on Sock NATO and our Merino Decay also comes on this. And we have a lighter version called Revival Fingering as well. So then we have the Lasco Worsted.
Yes.
Lasco, yeah.
In our shop, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so the Lasco line is unique to us. Caroline worked really hard to develop this yarn. We have it in worsted, DK, and in fingering. So yeah, it's really nice. Some of the design features on this one is the twist is really nice on it. So it works really well for cables and for lace and for color work. So it's a really, it's a workhorse of yarn, right? It does everything for us.
Yeah.
It has a really nice brown undertone to it, makes it really warm. That's from the little brown sheep from called Manx Lachlan, and they're from the Isle of Man, and then they're mixed with the Punta Arenas wool. All right, so next we're going to talk about the nettle DK.
Okay.
Again, unique to us, it's got the nettle plant in it, which gives it the similar properties to linen and flax, so it's got that cooling, temperature regulating. What's really nice is that it's got really good sheen. So it almost acts like silk, the nettle. So it gives it that nice shine.
And a beautiful twist on this one too.
Yeah, the nettle DK is really lovely. It also knits up really soft and has a really great drape. So anything that you would use like a silk in, you could use this in, and a little bit maybe more cost effective than having to use silk.
Right.
This one's really nice. It's got good bounce. It's got the swoosh.
Yep, it sure does. I'm just drawn to this one too. Oh my gosh. There was a party happening in the store with this one.
You'll have to ask Caroline. There is a story behind that one. It's called I Met Stephen West, and I liked it. And it is based on Caroline's experience meeting Stephen West.
Yeah.
And so you'll have to ask her about the story, because it's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll bring this one
with me. Yeah. It's a good story. And so Caroline developed the Hairley, and it's a Norwegian wool. And Caroline's tried really hard to get them to tell what breed it is, and they just say it's Norwegian wool, what the breed of sheep is and stuff like that. So this is Norway wool and merino wool. And it's been designed with the same twist, and it's been designed specifically to play with our Lasco DK. So Caroline will talk further about it, but we're just in the works of getting a new collection together for this yarn, and there are pieces where we've used both. All right, so we're going to go to our next style.
Okay, danger, danger.
I know. So Barb actually wanted me to take her down this one, but told me that she really needed to be restrained because of the mohair that we have. I have a bit of a sensitivity to to mohair in general, but with this one, I'm one of the people that twist and label, and I haven't had any like reactions to it. Normally it's almost instant. My nose starts to itch. The twist is a little bit tighter on this one.
Mm-hmm.
We still have the halo, but we don't seem to get the free spirits floating around.
And you know, even if you do have a mohair that has a little floof or fly off when you're winding it into a ball, I find that after the first or second wash, it just really calms down.
Oh, that's good.
And then it becomes really beautiful.
Yeah. So then this is our biggest selling. We have the most colors. We sell the most of Socknado. So I was saying earlier, every hook is a color. So we're missing a couple temporarily. We just did Knit City in Montreal, and we're waiting for some of that stuff to come back. But this could be used for not only socks, but sweaters, baby sweaters, as we talked about earlier. Right. It's not just for socks. We do have a couple of examples of shawls that we've done here.
Oasis.
Yeah, for sure.
This is one of my favorite yarns.
I really love it.
I do too.
But the problem is that all good things must come to an end so that you can make new things.
Yes, absolutely. You have to rotate.
I do still have a secret stash of it though, so
there
will be some available. But it's a great sport weight, and with the baby camel, it's so soft.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So next, we're going to the dye room.
We are. We're going to go into the back and see where all the mystery happens. Okay.
Ta-da!
Into the back.
Okay, this is where all the secrets are kept. Hey guys. Thank you so much for showing us around.
This is where all of the magic happens.
Yes.
And you're going to get to meet some more of the people behind the scenes.
Okay.
So you can see one of my wonderful dyers, Grease, is working on pots. So we'll use big pots for low water immersion or for kettle dyes.
Oh.
So this is your summer solstice at Stonehenge.
Yes, I saw that come out yesterday.
Yep. One of the things that's important to us is using absolutely premium wool for the yarn that we create, and so we have to treat it gently as a result.
How do you know how much dye to put in?
That's the secret of dyeing. This is where every one of these recipes has been created based on the dyer's knowledge of the colors. And then we write them down and we keep them and we repeat them using the exact same measurements for dye and water and everything in the future so that we can repeat the color in the same way.
So Megan, are you following a recipe? Okay.
And which color are you doing?
Spring leaf.
Right, spring leaf. I thought so, but you know, that would be the moment that I would be embarrassed to find out I was wrong. Given that I created spring leaf, that would be super mortifying, wouldn't it?
That's such a pretty green, isn't it? It
Yeah.
looks so grassy and springy and...
You know how it's been, you've been cooped up over winter, and it's so nice to finally get out there and go for a walk and see the new leaves coming out of the trees, and it's so exciting. And I always do this thing where I pay attention to the date. So what was the date this year where I saw the first new leaf on a tree? So I remember one time it was April 16th. This year it wasn't until May something. Unfortunately, I didn't quite pay attention to the date enough to remember it, but I was quite annoyed that it wasn't until May. Anyway, they all have stories behind them. They all have an inspiration, because I'm the kind of person who can't just put dye on yarn and say it's pretty. I have to have a reason for it.
Yes.
And thank you for taking the time to come down to Calgary and see us.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's so much fun now because we don't have the store anymore. It's like we're free. You know, we can do the things that we wanted to do for the last few years.
I love it.
Adventures.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Barb, let's let Carolyn rest her throat.
Yes,
And
yeah.
let's go do some shopping.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm up for that.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you both so much. This has been wonderful to sit down and chat yarn. I have so much enjoyed it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank you
for
both.
taking the time.
Thanks
to
for
come and see
joining us, Dan.
Oh, yeah, it was fun.
It's always good to hang out with you.
Yep,
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. All right.
Hi, Cynthia. Look, I'm here with Sarah. Sarah Elizabeth from, tell me what city you're from.
We're from Rossland,
Right.
which is West Kootenays.
West Kootenays.
Yeah, so
BC.
Yeah, British Columbia, and we're just about an hour south of Nelson, BC. So sometimes people know where that is a bit more easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Live on in the mountains.
Yeah, it was so nice to see you again because it's been it was several years ago that you came to our shop. And we were so
It was quite a while ago.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, Sarah, what did you bring here to Olds to Fiber Week?
Well, I brought
know
some
you
of the
can't
stuff.
bring everything,
No.
but you probably brought your top, 3 or 4 things?
Yeah, pretty much. I brought what I've always brought to Olds, because this was actually my first big fiber show. Was Olds Fiber Week when I started in 2016. I started doing shows. So bats is one of my favorite hands down things. So this is my bat wall, which I always love because it's just like diving into fiber.
Yeah.
The whole wall is just covered in mixed fiber bats, everything from hand processed merinos and ramblays and BFL, to the leftovers from processing locks, and then of course silks, Angelina, Firestar, you name it, I probably put it in there.
Wow.
So they're all about texture and color and swishability. And then we do them in a variety of sizes. So really big ones and then small ones, just helping for the project. You can spin with them, you can felt with them, you can wet felt, needle felt. Sometimes I take them apart and weave with them as well.
You could spin, pull out fibers and make your own yarn, could you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So you can either use a whole bat and make a yarn, or you can use a part of a bat and then you can pair it with other fibers that you have. So I often suggest people find like a solid that goes well with it.
Yeah.
The piece I have hanging back at the back of my booth underneath the lights is actually a hand spun shawl.
Wow. But you've done from the center out, it looks like.
Yes, cast on 3, and I actually knit it almost about 2/3 of the way before I realized I was messing up, and then I learned how to read a chart. And I've never had so many problems since. Also, I spun that while I was on bed rest with my second baby, and then I knit it the first year that she was in the world. And so I knit and re-knit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, your bats are just beautiful.
Thank you.
Love the fact that you've got stellina in them too. This wall just sparkles.
Yeah, and then at the bottom we have like our Cosmos. So those are like really intense texture, sparkle fiber packs for people to do their own, along with our hand-dyed blending silks.
Wow.
Our sari silks. And then we have our funky bits, which is a great way to get into locks.
Curls and locks.
Curls and fun bits and pieces for everybody. So again, you can spin it, felt it, weave it, needle felting. Really great additions.
Sarah, if somebody couldn't come to the show, how can they get these? Can they order these from you?
Yeah, definitely.
Online
So
or-
our website is under construction, but all of these things that are here with us at Olds are going to be going up online when we
wow.
get back in the next few weeks. Well, anything that's left.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully I don't take too much back with me.
Yes, exactly. That's
Yeah.
great. So tell us, what is your website? How can people get a hold of you, or on Instagram or?
Instagram, Facebook, or just Google Sarah Elizabeth Fiberworks and I come up, but it's also sarahelizabethfiberworks.ca. Either fiber spelt F-I-B-R-E or E-R.
Oh, you've got both?
I have both. And
Good for you.
.ca.com just to make it easy.
Hello, everybody. Cynthia and I are here today in St. Albert. We're at Yarn Divas, which is a tea and fiber emporium, and we're here with Chrissy and Sherri.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you for inviting us here, and thank you for offering to give us a tour. We're so excited. This is our first visit to your shop.
Nice.
And we hope the first of many. Yes. We wanted to come out, though, and give our viewers a sense of what they could find if they come and visit here in Edmonton, Alberta. How can they, some of the yarn shops that are in the area. So would you be able to take us on a little tour?
Sure.
Okay, great. Where would you like to start?
We're going to start over here with our Rama.
Okay.
Our Rama we get from, it's a Norwegian yarn, and there's a mitten here somewhere. I bought it as a kit when I was there. I don't know where it is. Oh, there it is, yes.
Okay.
So I brought that back with me from Edinburgh as a kit. And so then Sherri, I showed it to Sherri, and Sherri's family has a history from Norway, so it was like...
My grandfather was born in Norway and then immigrated over here the early 1900s.
Right.
So
if you could have any yarn, you'd want a Norwegian one.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Wow. I've also got a pretty good Scottish history too. So I got all the yarns covered.
So we have the finnel, which is the fingering weight, and that's all of this rack, all of these colors.
Wow.
And these are the heathers of the finnel as well. These 3 buckets here. Our messy studio, sorry. It is a working studio.
It's been well used and well loved.
It's like a house with kids, right?
Yeah. We live here.
So, this is our setup. We have 6 plates that we can run at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And
lots of power.
Yes, that was a whole saga.
We had to do some upgrades from our original build, but it's all worked out now. So it's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now this almost looks like you got it set up for classes.
We do.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we've got lots of dyers coming in. We've started our own. We'll do other classes. Robin had a great time in here teaching, so she wasn't sure if she'd enjoy it, but she loved it. So it's great.
And we limit it to a decent sized class, so you're not bumping into each other, and you each have your working areas, so you're not waiting turns or anything like that.
Nice. Yeah.
And then we also have it set up that if you want to do your own dyeing and you want to buy a subscription, you can do it month by month, or you can just rent it by a day and come in. You can use all of our equipment. You just have to bring your own, your dyes and your fibers and whatever you.
Yeah. How fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So our tea house, we source our teas from the Tea Girl, which is an Edmonton tea blender. She used to have her own tea house down on Stony, and Stony Plain Road. And then when they came in with all that LRT upgrades, she moved to just online sales and closed her shop, which was really sad because
it was a beautiful place to go. Very eclectic. We loved it. It was like a home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, her teas are amazing.
We try in the weekends when it's hot. We try to make a homemade iced tea and a mixture. So, but it takes a bit of time. So
this is the Cordale mohair. And so Chrissy dyed this one up, and she absolutely had a blast doing it. So,
what I didn't have a blast was making all the minis. I had to wind them by hand.
Yeah. So tell us, where did this relationship, this business relationship and friendship get started?
Started at the U of A nursing.
We kind of started like this.
Yep.
Like I think hour 2. It was like click click. It just happens, and I don't know. We had a lot of background. This was similar. We're both farm girls. Very small rural towns.
Yeah. Actually, not even that far away from each other either. Like an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe max.
Yeah.
We wish you all the best. Thank you so much for spending your time with us and coming in
thanks
today.
For coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's nice. It was easy. Nobody's wanting help.
No, this is an enjoyable day.
Barb and I are here with a fantastic guest. I can't tell you how excited I am to talk to this person. Hailing from Newfoundland, Katie Noseworthy is here with us today to talk about her brand new book called Knits for Little Ones. It's an amazing book. Barb, you had a chance to look at this as well. What do you think? What are your initial thoughts?
Well, I think that it's darling. The designs are all so sweet. And then this whole Newfoundland culture that sort of gets, integrated into each one of the designs, it makes it just a fascinating book.
Right? So we've connected with Katie. She's in her home in Mount Pearl, Newfoundland, which is very close to St. John's, and she's come to talk to us a little bit about the book. So maybe we'll turn the spotlight over to Katie and just maybe start with a little introduction. Katie, tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, first of all, so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here and talking about the book. It's finally happening. It's taken so long to get here, and I'm just super pumped about it. So I live in Newfoundland. I'm born and raised here. Grew up just outside of St. John's, still living just outside of St. John's in Mount Pearl. I live here with my fiance and our 3-year-old, who is featured prominently in the book. So he's like been my little model this whole time, basically. I've been knitting since I'm about 15, so that would be about, oh good God, 17 years ago now, 18 years ago now. But definitely been into the design side of things probably since about 2017. And that's when I started trying to put pen to paper on stuff and get my thoughts out into the world. And so that's kind of how I ended up where I am today, I suppose.
So let's jump right in. Let's talk a little bit about your book. We know that, that you were inspired by where you live. And I was wondering if you could start off with that. Tell us a little bit about the knitting traditions in Newfoundland and how that inspired you.
Yeah, so, Newfoundlanders are kind of known across the country in 2 camps. Either we never want to leave or we can't wait to get out. I fell into, so it's one or the other, right? I tend to fall into the former. Like, I actually have a very strong sense of place here. I feel like I was born in the exact right spot. So from a culture perspective, like I love the music. I love these, like being able to walk, like drive 2 minutes and get to a forest somewhere. Like it's just where I want to be. In terms of knitting traditions in Newfoundland, so of course everyone in Newfoundland grows up with knitwear and stuff like that, and you may not like analyze it as you're growing up, of course, but you always had it around you. It was always a staple in what was lying around the house. My first real, I guess, deep dive into it was when I actually started working for Nonia. Have either of you heard about Nonia before? So Nonia is actually super cool. So I hope you don't mind me chatting about them, because I used to sit on their board. I used to work for them in their quality control. But basically, they were born as a way for Newfoundland, prior to joining Canada, mind you, to pay for healthcare in the outports. So they would send out yarn and patterns to women. They would pay the women for their work. And then the yarn would come, or the finished items would come into St. John's and they would be sold. And then the profits from that would go and fund nursing in Outport, Newfoundland. So working there, I got to know a lot of the traditional patterns. So your double ball mitts, your cuffed socks, your hunter socks, your cable knit sweaters. And my job was actually evaluating those knits. The women who knit were fabulous. And these are women who can pump out 3 cable knit sweaters in a month. And they just know it. They know that pattern in their brain. And it's just amazing. It's amazing. And the scary part to me is it only lives in the brain. So if Joyce out in Jobat's arm passes away, so does that sweater pattern. So you know what I mean? So like that's one of the dangers that we were seeing. So now by, one thing that I wanted to do with the knitting is to make sure that some of these traditions do stay alive. Now mine are more, as I said earlier, I tend to modernize mine a little bit more. But like we also saw Shirley and Christine doing the saltwater knit stuff, like a lot of what they've done, like that has really made a huge difference in how we immortalize Newfoundland knitting so that people will be able to continue to do this even when the people who made it all up are gone.
Cynthia and I love it. Big thumbs up here from us.
I'm so glad. If anyone, honestly, like if anyone's has any questions, if anyone wants to reach out to me, find me. There's an email in the book, knitsforlittle1s@gmail.com. Like, so that's, for any support that you need for the book, but I'm on social media as well. Like I'm here. That's what I want to do. And I'm here to help as well. If you have any, thoughts or suggestions, or if you need any, guidance through the way. Yeah.
Great. Well, this isn't goodbye. This is see you again on September the 9th for our knit along.
Yes. And I'm going to set my computer up in a better spot because apparently I have no sunlight. So lessons learned. That's it.
All right, but can we do that? Can we have a little tour now?
Okay. So on this wall here, this is all yarn that is, and by the way, it's all hand dyed in our workshop not far from here. So even if not, because now since we have 4 stores in Canada and one store in New Jersey, sometimes people think that it's not dyed by hand anymore, but we are still doing everything by hand. So everything that you're seeing here was dyed in our workshop.
Everything is dyed here, and these are self-striping. So there is a specific amount of color, and then the color changes.
Yes, this yarn has been dyed to produce stripes. So one of our most popular, I will show you, it has always been the watermelon. So this one, when you knit it, it will create stripes with, this is another example here. So this one here is Dark Side, the color inspired by Pink Floyd, of course. So this one here, the little seed, the watermelon seed, are painted by hand. Each seed are painted by hand on the skein. So it's really
very
a work.
The other thing I have to tell you is I was so inspired by your scarf that was made out of the mitered squares.
Yeah.
And it was such a brilliant way of using self-striping yarn because you get beautiful stripes and thicker sections.
Yeah, right. We have a shawl that is named Diamonds Are Girl Best Friends. So this is all like diamond shape, and each diamond, of course, when you knit with self-striping yarn, are always like showing a different color pad because, of course, it's not. You're not always using the same exact color when you start to knit the diamond. So yes, it's and for the first year in my designer career, I had to work a lot with self-striping because this is what we were doing. This is what we wanted to feature. So I had to come up with a lot of ideas to play with self-striping yarn. So this is why you will find a lot of sock pattern and even scarf, shawl pattern with self-striping yarn on our website.
I got so excited knitting that pattern, Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. I think you called for 2 skeins.
Yes, that's it.
I couldn't stop. I had to do 3.
Nice. Good.
And it turned out beautiful. It was one of my favorite pieces.
Thank you so much. The flamel is one that we really like. A lot of our customer
like to discover this yarn because it's fingering with alpaca, so with alpaca and nylon, so you can knit socks. And we are adding more colors to this collection for fall because it's been one of our favorite. People like when they try this yarn for the first time, they always come back for more because they really like the feel. It's the look. It's a nice one.
So Cynthia, with the softness, this one is so beautiful. And you can feel the warmth of the alpaca when the skein is in your hand.
And we
beautiful.
have...
and you speckle this too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
And we will add more speckled color in this this collection for fall, so to be continued.
I wanted to ask you, how many colors have you had in this sock line over the years? Do you even know?
Yeah, well, in self-striping we did over than 120 colors, but we are not still having all these color because it was too much inventory to manage. So once in a while we do like a rotation of the colors. Yeah, that's it. That's it. But yeah, in my collection, nearly 90 colors. So yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Is this the new collection that's inspired by your art history?
Yes.
Background?
And in Biscotte Yarns, we have almost. I think probably the same. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of colors to keep up. Wow. We're here today with Tammy.
Hi.
Tammy Bilsma from Numana Yarns. Tammy, tell us a little bit about your store. How long have you been in business?
So I opened up my website on September 1st, 2020.
2020, during the pandemic.
During the pandemic. This is a pandemic child.
Yeah.
And then I moved here into the retail / dye studio location in April of last year and opened up in May of last year.
Wow.
So
okay.
It's just been over just a year.
Right. So the pandemic was sort of done and you decided that you needed more room, more space. And therefore
I needed a lot more room.
A lot more room.
A lot more room.
So today we're standing in the retail area of your shop where you've got an amazing assortment of colors. Can you give us a little tour?
Yeah,
of
for
this
sure.
Section?
So usually when people come into the store, the first thing that I point out is that my sock yarn collection is extensive. The sock yarn lovers found me first.
Yeah.
And so now what I've done is every time I bring out a new colorway, it comes on the sock yarn.
Right.
So every active colorway that I have is on the sock yarn.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
So this is your kind of like test base. Would
Yeah,
you
it
say
is.
that?
I guess it's like my full palette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see, you do a real range of variegated speckles and semi-solids.
Yeah.
In practically every colorway, it looks like.
Pretty much. I still have more in my head.
Wow.
I just dyed colorway number 372 last week.
Wow. And you're keeping recipes for each and every one of these?
For most of them. Some of them are no dye left behind or one-of-a-kind colorways. So they still get a number. They just don't get a recipe. Because I sometimes don't even know what's in it.
Yeah.
So
those are fun ones to have too, aren't they? They're like sort of like little treasures.
Yeah.
Never to be repeated exactly again.
Yeah. And some people just fall in love with them and they're online and then they're gone.
Yeah.
And they're a great way to also just play around with some different colors too.
Yeah, and get a sense of what you like. And
different techniques. So usually if I'm like, I just wonder what'll happen if I do this.
Yeah.
I'll try it on a no dye. So the dye supplier that I use has these color cards, which they're fine. So this is what the supplier sent me.
Yeah.
For that color. But this is what I get a range of in colors.
Wow.
Yeah, there's over 100.
Oh my God.
So there's over 800 little samples that I did. And then, yeah, set them, wash them. I had to be very careful when I was washing them so that they stayed in the right order.
Oh,
had to dry them again in the right order.
Oh my
But it is so helpful. I'm so glad I did it because
this is your Bible then.
It is,
correct?
because I can go, okay, I want to use this color. And what color?
It's a hot, sultry summer here in Edmonton, Alberta. It's been nice to spend a little bit of time in this air-conditioned yarn vault.
I've been enjoying the yarn fumes.
Yes.
Yarn fumes.
And now I think, Barb, we're going to have to do a little shopping.
Yes.
What do you think? All right. Thank you again,
Yes,
Tammy,
no problem.
for
Thanks
spending
for
so much time
for
with us
coming
today.
and-
We love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Hi, Julia.
Hi, welcome to the Beehive.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're going to give us a little tour today, I understand.
I am, yes. So I'll give you guys a brief little bit of a history about the store. If you're from Victoria or if you've been to the store before, hello again. We've been here since 1906, so that's almost 120 years now. Yeah, we're part of the community, brick and mortar. And my name is Julia. I run the shop along with my mom, Val. She is semi-retired now. She's off with my son, her grandson today, and I'm at the store. So that's kind of how we operate things these days. She bought the store 25 years ago and kind of created this big, beautiful mecca full of fiber. And it's my joy to kind of caretake this business from now on.
Yes, and I'll just take you around a little bit. You've got this historic building that you're in with these amazing windows.
Yes, so the building itself is actually predates us. It's from, I believe, 1865, so it's older than Canada. It's just an incredible history that we get to be a part of.
Okay.
And just fill it top to bottom with yarn.
Yes, I see that.
So our focus in terms of all the yarns we carry is we roughly organize by weight.
Okay.
So we've got mohairs leading into bulkies, worsted weights, and then I'll take you across the other side in just a moment, and that's where we have all the sock yarns and everything else, fingering weights and everything. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about these shawls that you have hanging on the back wall.
Yeah, so those are blankets, actually. They're made in clip-in, made by a Swedish company, along with all of the yarns and knitting supplies we carry. We also carry a small selection of woven items from Europe for blankets and shawls. First of all, I don't know how many of us have knit a blanket, but boy, does it ever take a long time.
Yes.
And this way we could get, big, beautiful woolen items that are woven with love and in heritage mills.
Wow.
So that was fabulous.
Can people order these online?
Indeed they can. Thank you for asking. Yeah.
Great. So tell us just a website that they can go to.
Yeah, beehivewoolshop.com. Our whole inventory, the whole store is online. Every last ball of yarn we professionally photograph to get color accuracy as much as possible, and we're really hands-on with our orders. So oftentimes if we get a ball of yarn and a needle that we know doesn't match, we'll call the customer and say, you're not planning to knit this with this needle, will you? We want to make sure that we take the customer service that we're known for in the store and bring it online as much as possible.
Wow, that's fantastic. And that's a really important thing, I know, because I've gotten balls, where they're sort of mismatched.
Oh, yeah, especially hand dyes and everything. We want to make sure that people are excited when they open their yarn, not disappointed, which we know can happen with online shopping from anywhere.
Yeah.
We'll come on up to the steps. So we've got one half of the store here. Hello, everyone. Hello. And then up this step here, and this is where all the sock yarns and fingering weights and baby yarns hang out.
Wow. Okay. So I see you've got some ancient arts,
Absolutely.
which I'm
we
familiar.
love ancient arts. They're just fabulous, as everyone in Alberta knows. We are so proud to represent them. Leo and
Yes.
Roxy from Ontario, Art Phil from Quebec, and a few brands that go in and out. Fleece artists from the East Coast, Gathering Yarns, which are dyed here on the island, and a Small Bird Workshop as well. Those are all our guys. Yeah.
This is great. Now you were telling me about this.
So I wanted to make sure that your viewers don't panic at the sight of empty shelves in a yarn shop. We've actually just rescued these from a yarn shop in Sydney, so about 20 minutes away from Victoria, that the owners are retiring, and these shelves are from there. They're vintage from the 60s. They've always been in yarn shops, so we're so happy to be able to take them home and fill them full.
Wow. And I see some lovely woolly wool here too. Is this? Oh, this is the one.
This is Fleece Artist.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is their BFL 28, which, as you can tell, any yarn shop owner, I'm sure how do you decide what colorways to bring for your customers?
Yes.
Just bring them all in.
Just bring them all. Oh my goodness. Well, we love Jana and her team.
Yes, they're
Fleece Artist.
fabulous. We had
Look
Jana
at this.
out a few years ago with their anniversary, and they brought all their yarn bases out. It was so great to see them and connect. My mom has been working with them for 30 years now, with Jana's mom before her. So.
Yeah.
And then this yarn up top here, this is from Small Bird Workshop, which your customers might not know. She's from Vancouver Island, and she primarily does BC and Canadian fiber. We have her dyeing on a Falkland Island yarn here just for us, but if you go to her online store, that's where you get the BC and Canadian fiber. She's fabulous.
Next up, we have Barb and Cynthia at Yarniversity by River City Yarns in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Welcome, ladies.
My name is Cynthia, and I'm here with my sister Barb. We are the sibling duo behind River City Yarns, a local yarn shop in Edmonton, Alberta that we ran for over 20 years. We were always more than a yarn shop. We offered a wide range of classes and had our own exclusive design collection. Of course, as you know, COVID had an impact on our business, and we pivoted, going all in on being online. We often said to each other, when a window closes, open a door. We took everything online, including our workshops. We connected with our friends in the business who could no longer travel and teach, and together we embraced a new way of doing things. In the spring of this year, we closed our bricks and mortar shop to take on our new challenge. We decided that our new mission is to create an online campus, a place where we could share our knowledge and expertise and connect virtually with our customers who today are literally all over the world. We want to help you build new skills, gain confidence, and feel part of an inclusive and welcoming space. And so we began the tradition from River City Yarns to Yarniversity. A big part of what we do now is provide a place for you to connect with great instructors on a wide variety of topics. All of our classes are online, taking place over Zoom, and they're recorded. You will have 7 days to review the recording after the live session, and Barb and I are here to support you between and after classes. One of us will always be hosting or TAing in the Zoom room. Today, I'm wearing a sweater from one of the classes that we hosted with Ann Budd, and I have 3 skirts behind me. We'd like to introduce you to some of our instructors coming up this fall, and so I wanted to tell you that Ann is teaching another skirt class and a top-down yoke sweater class for us this fall. Come and join me. You can't have too many skirts in your wardrobe, honestly. And Barb is also one of our teachers. She's been working, for the last year or 2 on machine knitting, and she's ready to share her skills with everyone. So Barb, maybe tell us a little bit about what you have planned for the fall.
Thank you, Cynthia. I'd love to. Back in 2020, COVID created a need to make things faster and creative ways for our customers to use their stash. We brought in some LK150 manual flatbed knitting machines, and little did we know how powerful they could be once you know how to use them. The best way to get good at machine knitting is to practice, and the best way to practice is by making things on your machine. So I've been having a lot of fun with a group of customers and friends who meet on a monthly basis. And I do some demos on different techniques. I'm working on swatches for this fall as I plan out the topics for our upcoming meetings. I'm going to share a picture with you of some of the swatches that I'm working on. So for those of you who have never even thought about a machine, machines can do great stockinette stitch, especially the LK150. It can also do color work like this slip stitch pattern, these two. It can even do lace. This I did on my machine. And this one here is one of my favorite. This is feather and fan, and you can knit lace really quickly. Some people think that the machines can't do a good job on ribbing. They can. It just takes some hand manipulation. And here you can even do bobbles. So this is just a few of my favorite swatches that I've done in preparation for some upcoming workshops. The other thing that I'm really excited about, I'm just going to switch cameras again, is our fall lineup. We have Bristol Ivy coming to Yarn Diversity, and Cynthia and I are so excited. We met up with Bristol this summer at Knit City Montreal, and when we came home, we began talking with her about teaching a series of classes. And Cynthia, how many classes have we got with Bristol?
Thank you, Barb. Bristol is teaching 4 classes for us this year, and we're working on a 5th multi-session class in the new year. I'm going to hold up this sweater that I made. This is a Bristol Ivy design, and so I want to inspire you about taking classes with her. We love her engaging and friendly style, and Bristol is also an author, and she's written this beautiful book, Knitting Outside the Box. Bristol's classes this fall include an intro to intarsia, an intro to mosaic knitting, a cool texture class called Slip It, Float It, Tuck It, and a shawl class called From the Top, Exploring Top-Down Shawls. Another one of our favorite designers and teachers is Holly Yo. And Barb, I noticed that you're wearing a Holly Yo design today.
I am, Cynthia. This is the Rutherford vest that I'm wearing. It's an intarsia design by Holly Yo, and it has this great shoulder join. This is called an English tailored shoulder. It falls a little farther back on the shoulder, and it just makes the fit so nice. I think the thing I love most about Holly is her attention to detail. And if you are interested in learning about making sweaters, Holly's got a class coming up called First Sweater. It's knit flat and seamed. And whether you're a novice or you're an experienced knitter who wants to perhaps improve the look of your garments and the fit of your sweaters, Holly will show you how. We also have Kate Atherley teaching for us this fall. And Kate has an amazing ability to explain technical concepts in a way that makes sense.
She's an amazing person. Kate is a designer, a teacher, a tech editor for other designers, an author, a magazine editor, you name it. She's probably done it, which is great because Kate explains the why and the when as well as the how. And Barb, Kate is teaching 9 classes for us this year. The first one coming up is custom fit knee socks. This is one of my favorite classes because Kate is a sock pro. She designed this really cool sock pattern for us called Gridiron. And this one uses a pooling concept in variegated yarns to create these grid lines in it. And so, okay, sock knitters, if you want to make tall socks and socks that stay up, and maybe you have a favorite sock pattern like this one, but you'd like to make it longer, Kate is a sock spurt, and she's going to show you how to make and fit knee socks. I also wanted to mention Kate's upcoming class on September 20th called Yarn Substitutions. This class is one of our most popular, and you shouldn't miss it. She's going to answer all of your questions like, is it fingering or fingerling? And Barb, we've got one more special guest to talk about, and that's our friend who inspires the gnome adventure in all of us.
That's right. For those of you who make gnomes, like I do, we have Canadian designer Sarah Shira coming to Yarniversity to teach her No Fun Like Gnome Fun class. You know, these are great things to do. I always make a few at Christmas time, but these are so much fun to make all year long. And at Sarah's class, if you want to do some for Christmas, you can bring red and white yarn and turn your gnome into a Santa-inspired gnome. Sarah's going to teach you all the techniques on how to make these guys. We do them in worsted weight yarn, so they're a little bigger. And she's going to teach you how to make these eye cords, these adorable shoes and boots, and all the other little things like noses. So come and join us. That's going to be a really fun class.
Excellent. And Barb, we're not all about classes. We do other things.
That's right. We do. We have a makers meetup where it's an event that will inspire and motivate you and connect you with others who share your same interests and have a passion for knitting and crochet and all things fiber. That's going to start up again on Monday, September the 10th. And so it's an opportunity to come out and share what you've been working on and meet others. Come and join us. Cynthia and I are always there to help moderate the discussion, and everyone is welcome. The other thing that we're really excited about is an upcoming knit along that we're hosting. We interviewed just a wonderful girl. Her name is Katie Noseworthy. She's a mom from Newfoundland and a designer. She's written a book called Newfoundland Knits for Little Ones. And we were so smitten with this book, we decided to host a knit along to do some of the projects. I've got a little hat here that I whipped up last weekend. It's from Katie's book. I think it's called Cloudburst. And it's just
Cloudberry, Barb.
Cloudberry. Okay. Yeah. And her whole book is got little stories and things that are inspired by living in Newfoundland. So come out and join us. The knit along is free. We even have, you just need the book, and we have a discount code on our website where you can get a discount from the publisher on the book. And we're going to be knitting all things baby. I don't even have any babies in my family, but we have some great charities here that I'm going to be donating these little items to. So we encourage you to do the same.
That's right. And we also want to invite you to join us on our YouTube channel. Every month, we publish a video podcast on YouTube. We take you places. We introduce you to people. We show you our projects. We have a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you join us. In addition to our podcasts, we have playlists for trips that we've taken called Places to Go, People to See, and playlists with lots of tutorials for knitting and crochet. Thank you so much, Barb. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. I think we might have time to answer one question in the chat, and that's about this sweater behind me. This is the sweater I knit after taking Ann Budd's top-down yoke sweater class. So you can do it too. If you join the class, I'm happy to share my design with you for your yoke. And so it's just a great opportunity to come and join us and be part of our community. Thank you, everybody. We'll let you get back to the regular schedule, and we'll answer some questions that are in the chat as we go along.
Thank you. That was perfect timing. You've got this down. Thanks so much, Barb and Cynthia. What great opportunities to advance our skills with some very great designers and teachers.